The final session of the council began at sunset. The blue lights in the great hall turned golden, filling the room with warm color. Hundreds of delegates sat in their tall chairs, waiting to hear the verdict on humanity. Tay stood at the center of the room once more. But she did not feel small this time. She felt ready. Whatever happened, she had done her best. Delegate Vorn rose from his chair. His forearms hung loosely at his sides. His yellow eyes swept across the room. "My fellow delegates," he said, "I have something to say." The room fell silent. Everyone knew that Vorn had been the loudest voice against humans. His words would carry great weight. 3 days ago, a human stood before us. She asked us to accept her species into the galactic community. I argued against her. I said that predators could not be trusted. I said that nature would always win over choice. He paused. His eyes found Tay. I was wrong. The room erupted in whispers. Delegates turned to each other in shock. Vorn, the great Vorn, admitting he was wrong? This had never happened before. Vorn raised one hand for silence. The human ambassador showed me something I had never seen. A predator caring for another predator. A killer choosing kindness. A hunter becoming a protector. This challenges everything I believed about nature. He walked down the steps toward Tay. His stone-gray face was softer than before. But more than that, she showed me compassion. I told her about my pain. I told her why I feared predators. And instead of using that against me, she offered understanding. She offered patience. She offered to help me heal. His voice grew quieter, but every word reached every corner of the hall. This is not the behavior of a mindless predator. This is the behavior of a civilized being. A being who has learned that strength and gentleness can exist together. A being who knows that love is more powerful than fear. He turned to face the other delegates. I have lived for 3,000 years. I have seen empires rise and fall. I have met thousands of species. And I have never encountered anything like humanity. He pointed at Tay. These humans are different. They carry both darkness and light within them. They have the capacity for great violence, yes, but they also have the capacity for great love. And they choose love. Again and again, they choose love. He walked back to his chair and sat down. I vote to accept humanity into the Galactic Council. The room exploded with noise. Delegates were shouting, cheering, arguing. But through it all, Tay heard mostly sounds of agreement. Other delegates were standing up and saying they also voted yes. Delegate Mira rushed down from her seat and hugged Tay. Her soft fur was warm against Tay's face. You did it. Myra said, you changed his mind. You changed everything. Tay laughed and hugged her back. Tears were streaming down her face. Happy tears. Proud tears. The voting continued. One by one, the delegates announced their decisions. Most of them voted yes. By the end, the result was clear. Humanity had been accepted into the Galactic Council. That night, there was a celebration. Aliens from dozens of species gathered to welcome humans into the galactic family. Music played through floating speakers. Strange foods from distant planets were served on glowing plates. Tay stood by a window, looking out at the stars. She held her tablet in her hands, looking at the photo of Wu and Nabi. Thank you, she whispered to the photo. I could not have done this without you. A voice came from behind her. Is that the famous cat? She turned and saw Delegate Rosh, the large blue alien who had asked about Nabi loving Wu. He was holding a glass of something that glowed purple. Tay smiled. Yes, this is Nabi. Would you like to see more photos? Very much. She showed him pictures of Nabi playing with string. Nabi sleeping in a sunbeam. Nabi sitting in a cardboard box that was too small for her. Rosh made a sound that might have been laughter. She is very small. And she sits in a box? Why? We do not know why cats love boxes. But they do. Every cat does. Strange creatures. I like them. More delegates came over to see the photos. Soon, Tay was surrounded by aliens who wanted to know more about cats, and dogs, and birds, and fish. They asked question after question, amazed by the idea of predators keeping pets. As the night went on, Tay realized something wonderful. The aliens were not just curious about human pets. They were curious about humans themselves. They wanted to understand how a predator species had learned to love, and Tay was happy to teach them. A week later, Tay returned to Earth. Her ship landed in Seoul on a rainy afternoon. A crowd was waiting for her. Her family was at the front. Her mother was crying. Her father was trying not to cry but failing. And her brother Wu was holding Nabi in his arms. Tay ran to them and hugged them all at once. The rain fell around them, but nobody cared. "You did it," her mother said. "You saved humanity." Tay shook her head. "I did not do it alone. Nabi helped." She looked at the small orange cat in Wu's arms. Nabi blinked her green eyes and made a small sound. Almost like she understood. Wu laughed. "Nabi is famous now. People all over the galaxy know about her." "She deserves it," Tay said. "She is the most important cat in the universe." She reached out and scratched Nabi behind the ears. The cat purred. In the weeks that followed, things changed on Earth. People talked about the Galactic Council and what Tay had done. They talked about the photo of Wu and Nabi. They talked about what it meant to be human. For the first time in a long time, people thought about kindness. They thought about the animals in their lives and how much they loved them. They thought about the choice to be gentle instead of cruel. Pet adoptions went up all over the world. Animal shelters received more donations than ever before. Laws were passed to protect endangered species. It was as if the whole planet had remembered something important about itself. And far away, in the Great Hall of the Galactic Council, Delegate Vorn sat in his chair and thought about humans. He thought about Tay and her patience. He thought about Wu and his kindness to a scared street cat. He thought about the millions of humans who chose to love creatures smaller and weaker than themselves. He thought about his son, who had died so long ago. And for the first time in centuries, he did not feel only anger and fear. He felt hope. Maybe, he thought, if predators could learn to love, then old wounds could heal. Maybe enemies could become friends. Maybe the galaxy could become a little less cold and dark. He looked out the window at the stars. Somewhere out there was Earth, a small blue planet full of strange creatures who kept cats and dogs and birds and fish. Strange, wonderful creatures who had reminded the galaxy that love is always a choice, and that choosing love is what makes anyone truly civilized. The end. The council called for a break after Tay's presentation. The aliens needed time to think about what they had seen. Many of them gathered in small groups, talking quietly. Others left the hall to make calls to their home planets. Tay sat on a bench in a quiet corner. She was tired but hopeful. The reaction had been better than she expected. Some aliens, like Delegate Mira, were already showing interest in learning more about humans. But Delegate Vorn was still a problem. He had said nothing after the photos. He had simply stood there with his yellow eyes staring at the screen. Then he had left the hall without a word. Tay knew that Vorn had power in the council. If he decided that humans were dangerous, many delegates would follow his lead. She needed to find a way to change his mind. As she was thinking about this, a shadow fell over her. She looked up and saw Vorn standing there. His forearms were folded across his chest. His face was hard to read. "Ambassador," he said. His voice was quieter than before. "May I sit?" Tay was surprised, but she nodded. Vorn sat down on the bench next to her. He was very large, and the bench seemed small with both of them on it. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was heavy. Then Vorn said something unexpected. "My son died 300 years ago." Tay turned to look at him. His yellow eyes were not looking at her. They were staring at the floor. "I am sorry," Tay said softly. "I did not know." Vorn continued as if he had not heard her. "The Torak live for thousands of years. We do not form attachments easily. We believe that emotions make us weak, that caring too much for others is a path to pain." He paused. His forehands tightened into fists. "My son was young, only 200 years old. He was killed in a war with a predator species, a species that we trusted, a species that we thought we understood." Tay listened without speaking. She could feel the pain in his words. They called themselves our allies. They sat in this very council. They smiled and spoke of peace. And then one day, they attacked. Without warning, without reason, they killed thousands of our people. They killed my son. Vorn finally looked at her. His yellow eyes were filled with old sadness. "This is why I do not trust predators, Ambassador. I have seen what they can do. I have felt the loss that they cause. Every time I look at a predator species, I see the ones who killed my child." Tay felt her heart breaking for him. She understood now why he was so hard and cold. He was not evil. He was hurt. "Delegate Vorn," she said gently, "I am truly sorry for your loss. Losing a child is the worst pain anyone can feel. I cannot imagine what you have gone through." Vorn said nothing. He just sat there, his large body seeming smaller somehow. "But I need to tell you something," Tay continued. "Something important." She waited until his eyes met hers. "Humans have also suffered from predators. Our own history is full of violence and war. We have hurt each other terribly. Millions of humans have died because of cruelty and hatred." She took a deep breath. "But we did not respond to that pain by closing our hearts. We responded by opening them wider. We learned that love is the only cure for hate. That kindness is the only answer to cruelty." Vorn's expression changed slightly. He seemed to be listening. "The humans who hurt other humans are not different from the rest of us," Tay said. "They are our brothers and sisters, our parents and children. We cannot say that all humans are evil because some humans do evil things. And you cannot say that all predators are dangerous because some predators have hurt you." She reached out and touched one of his 4 hands. He flinched but did not pull away. "We are all capable of good and evil," she said. "The question is which one we choose. Humans have learned to choose good. Not always. Not perfectly. But we try. Every day, we try." Vorn stared at her hand on his. His stone-gray skin was rough and cold, but Tay did not let go. "Your photo," he said slowly. "The one with your brother and the cat. Tell me more about it." Tay smiled. "What would you like to know?" "The cat. Nabi. How did your brother get her?" Tay thought back to the story. It was a simple story, but it meant everything to her family. "Nabi was a street cat," she said. "She lived alone in the city, looking for food in garbage cans. She was thin and dirty and scared of everything." Vorn nodded. "So she was wild, feral." "Yes, many people walked past her every day. They did not care about one small, dirty cat. But my brother Wu was different. He saw her sitting in the rain one night, shivering and cold. And something in his heart said that he could not leave her there." Tay's eyes grew warm with the memory. He took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. She was so scared that she scratched him, drew blood. But he did not let go. He carried her home and put her in a warm box with soft blankets. She attacked him, and he still helped her? Vorn sounded confused. Yes, because he understood that she was scared, not mean. She had been hurt before. She did not know that he wanted to help. So he had to show her, slowly, over many days. Tay looked at the floor, remembering. For the first week, Nabi hid under Wu's bed. She would not eat unless he left the room. She hissed at him whenever he came close. My mother said he should give up. She said the cat was too wild to be loved. But he did not give up, Vorn said. No. He sat by her hiding spot every day and talked to her in a soft voice. He put treats near her and waited for her to take them. He never grabbed her or forced her to do anything. He just waited. Tay smiled at the memory. After 2 weeks, she started to come out when he was in the room. After a month, she let him pet her. After 3 months, she was sleeping on his pillow every night. She looked at Vorn. Wu taught Nabi that not everyone wanted to hurt her. He showed her that love was possible, even after so much pain. And in return, Nabi gave him the most precious gift. She gave him her trust. Vorn was very quiet. His yellow eyes had a strange shine to them. Tay wondered if Torak could cry. This is what humans do, Tay said. We take broken things and try to fix them. We take scared creatures and try to help them feel safe. We see pain and we want to heal it. Not because it benefits us. Just because we believe it is the right thing to do. She squeezed his hand. You have been hurt, Delegate Vorn. The predators who killed your son broke something inside you. And now you see danger everywhere. You push away anyone who might hurt you again. Vorn looked away. But closing your heart does not make you safe, Tay said. It just makes you alone. And loneliness is a worse enemy than any predator. A long silence passed between them. The sounds of the great hall seemed far away. Finally, Vorn spoke. His voice was rough with emotion. I do not know if I can trust again, he said. I do not know if I can look at a predator species and not see the ones who hurt me. Tay nodded. I understand. Trust takes time. My brother had to wait weeks for Nabi to trust him. Maybe you need to wait too. Maybe you need someone to sit with you and speak softly until you feel safe again. She stood up and offered him her hand. Let me be that person, Delegate Vorn. Let humanity show you that we are different. Not through words, but through actions. Through patience and kindness and time. Vorn looked at her hand for a long moment. Then, slowly, he reached out with one of his forearms and took it. I will try, he said quietly. I will try to see you differently. Tay helped him stand. They walked back toward the great hall together. For the first time, they walked as equals. Not as predator and prey. Not as enemy and victim. Just as two beings who had both known pain and were both trying to heal. The chaos in the great hall lasted for several minutes. Aliens were shouting in dozens of languages. Some were standing up from their seats. Others were waving their arms or tentacles in the air. The blue lights flickered as if they too were confused. Delegate Vorn was trying to restore order. He banged his forefists on his chair. Silence. He shouted. Silence. We must have order. Slowly the room became quiet, but the tension remained. Every alien was looking at Tay and the photo on the screen. Their eyes were full of questions. Delegate Myra, the small rabbit-like alien, raised her paw. Her voice was soft and curious. Ambassador Tay, she said, can you please explain this image more? I do not understand what I am seeing. Tay nodded. She was happy that someone was willing to listen. Of course, Delegate Mira. What you see is my brother Wu sleeping on a couch. The small creature on his chest is called Cat. Her name is Nabi. A cat, Myra repeated. What is a cat? Cats are small predators that live on Earth. They have sharp teeth and claws. They hunt small animals like mice and birds. In nature, they are skilled killers. The room reacted to this. Tay could hear gasps and whispers. But wait, Myra said. If this cat is a predator, why is your brother allowing it to sleep on his body? Is that not dangerous? Tay smiled. No, it is not dangerous. Nabi would never hurt Wu. She loves him, and he loves her. Delegate Vorn stepped forward. His voice was sharp with doubt. This is impossible, he said. You say this creature is a predator, a killer, and yet it lies peacefully with your brother? This must be some kind of trick. It is not a trick, Tay said calmly. This is simply how humans live. We share our homes with cats. We feed them, care for them, and treat them like family. In return, they give us companionship and love. Vorn shook his head. His yellow eyes were blinking rapidly now, which Tay guessed was a sign of confusion. But this makes no sense, he said. Your brother is also a predator. You said humans eat meat. So here we have two predators living together. Why do they not compete? Why do they not fight? Tay thought about how to explain this. She needed to use simple words so everyone could understand. Because love is stronger than instinct, she said. Humans have the ability to choose. We can choose to care about other creatures, even if our instincts tell us to hunt them. We can look at a small, weak animal and decide to protect it instead of eating it. She pointed at the photo again. Wu feeds Nabi every day. He buys her food with his own money. He takes her to the doctor when she is sick. He plays with her and makes sure she is happy. He does all of this because he loves her, not because he expects anything in return. The room was quiet. The aliens were listening carefully. A new voice spoke. It came from a large creature with blue scales and 6 legs. His name was Delegate Rosh, from a species called the Dreen. I have a question, Rosh said. You say your brother loves this cat. But what does the cat feel? Does it love him back? Tay's face lit up. This was a wonderful question. Yes, she does, Tay said. Cats show love in many ways. They purr when they are happy. They rub their heads against you. They curl up close to you when they sleep. They bring you gifts, sometimes dead mice that they have caught. She laughed a little. The dead mice are not always welcome. But we understand that is the cat's way of showing love. Rosh tilted his large head. So this is a relationship of mutual love? Two predators caring for each other. Yes, exactly. It is not about survival or food or power. It is simply about connection. About not being alone. Delegate Vorn stepped forward again. He did not look convinced. I still do not believe this, he said. Perhaps your species has somehow trained these cats to behave this way. Perhaps you have removed their predator instincts through science or magic. Tay shook her head. No, we have not changed them. Cats are still predators. They still hunt. My brother's cat Nabi catches mice in our garden sometimes. She still has all her instincts. Then, how can she also love your brother? How can she be a killer and also be gentle? Tay thought for a moment. Then she said something that surprised everyone in the room. Because that is also true for humans. We are killers, and we are gentle. We can be violent, and we can be kind. We have darkness in us, and we have light. Being a predator does not mean being only one thing. She looked around the room at all the alien faces. Every human carries both sides within them. The ability to destroy and the ability to create. The desire to take and the desire to give. What makes us civilized is not removing one side. It is learning to choose which side we listen to. Delegate Mara spoke again. Her voice was full of wonder. This is very different from what we have learned, she said. In our teachings, predators are always dangerous. They cannot control themselves. They will always choose violence. Tay nodded. I understand why you believe that. You have met many predator species. And perhaps they were all dangerous. But humans are different. We have spent thousands of years learning to be better, learning to control our instincts, learning to love. She looked at Vorn. You asked what makes humans special. This is your answer. We are predators who have learned to care. We are killers who have chosen kindness. We are hunters who have built shelters for the weak. Vorn was quiet for a long moment. His yellow eyes stared at the photo on the screen, at Wu's peaceful face, at Nabi's small orange body. I need proof, he finally said. This photo could be fake. This story could be lies. I need more evidence before I can believe what you are saying. Tay had expected this. She pressed another button on her tablet. Then let me show you more, she said. The screen changed. Now it showed hundreds of photos. Thousands of photos. Photos of humans with their pets from all over Earth. A little girl hugging a golden dog. An old man with a parrot on his shoulder. A young woman bottle feeding a baby goat. A family gathered around a fish tank. A boy reading a book with a rabbit in his lap. These are humans from every country on Earth, Tay said. Every culture. Every background. And they all have one thing in common. They love their animals. She showed more photos. Animal shelters where volunteers cared for abandoned pets. Hospitals where doctors treated sick wildlife. Sanctuaries where endangered species were protected. Humans spend billions of dollars every year caring for animals, Tay said. We build homes for them. We create laws to protect them. We fight to save species from extinction. We do all of this because we believe that every life has value. The room was completely silent now. The aliens were watching the photo scroll by on the screen. Their expressions had changed. The fear and doubt were being replaced by something else. Curiosity, wonder, maybe even respect. Delegate Mira stood up from her chair. She walked down the steps toward Tay. Her soft white fur glowed in the blue light. Ambassador Tay, she said quietly, I think I understand now. Humans are not like the other predators we have known. You have found a way to be strong and gentle at the same time. Tay felt tears in her eyes. She blinked them back. Thank you, Delegate Myra. That is exactly what I was trying to say. Myra reached out with one small paw and touched Tay's hand. The gesture was simple, but it meant everything. I want to learn more about humans, Myra said. I want to understand how you became this way. Tay smiled. I would be happy to teach you. Behind them, Delegate Vorn stood in silence. His yellow eyes were still fixed on the screen. His expression was impossible to read, but Tay knew that something had changed in the Great Hall today. A door had been opened. A bridge was being built. The conversation was just beginning. That night, Tay sat alone in her small room on the space station. The room was simple. A bed, a desk, a window that looked out at the stars. Everything was made of smooth metal and cold light. It did not feel like home. She held her tablet in her hands and looked at the photo again. Her brother Wu was sleeping on their old brown couch. His black hair was messy. His mouth was slightly open. And on his chest, curled into a tiny orange ball, was Nabi. Nabi was a small cat. She had orange fur with white patches on her paws and chest. In the photo, she was sleeping too. Her small face looked peaceful. One of her paws was touching Wu's chin, like she was making sure he was still there. Tay smiled at the photo. She missed home so much. Her communicator beeped. She pressed the button, and a voice came through. It was her mother, calling from Earth. Tay? Can you hear me? Yes, Mom, I can hear you. Her mother's voice was warm and worried at the same time. We watched the broadcast today. That alien was so rude to you. Are you okay? Tay laughed softly. I'm fine, Mom. This is just how diplomacy works. People say difficult things. I have to stay calm and find a way to change their minds. Your father is very angry. He says these aliens need to learn some manners. Tay could imagine her father's face, red with anger, shouting at the television. It made her smile. Tell Dad not to worry. I have a plan. What kind of plan? Tay looked at the photo on her tablet again. I'm going to show them something they have never seen before. Something that will make them think differently about humans. Her mother was quiet for a moment. Then she said, Is it the photo of Wu and Nabi? How did you know? Because I know my daughter. You always loved that cat more than anything. Tay felt tears in her eyes. She blinked them away. I need to go, Mom. I have to prepare for tomorrow. Okay, sweetheart. We love you. We believe in you. I love you too. Tell Wu to take good care of Nabi. I will. The call ended. Tay sat in the silence of her room. Outside the window, millions of stars shone in the darkness. Somewhere out there was Earth, her home, her family. Her cat died. She thought about what Delegate Vorn had said. Predators never raise prey. Predators only consume. Predators cannot love. These words made her sad and angry at the same time. The aliens had met many predator species, but they had never met one like humanity. They did not understand that being a predator did not mean being a monster. Tay thought about the history of humans and cats. It was a long history, going back thousands of years. In ancient times, cats had lived near human villages. They hunted mice and rats that ate human food. Humans let them stay because they were useful. But over time, something changed. Humans stopped seeing cats as just useful. They started to love them. They gave them names. They let them sleep in their homes. They fed them even when there were no mice to hunt. And cats changed too. They learned to trust humans. They learned to show affection. They learned to purr when they were happy. This was something special. Two predator species learning to love each other. Not because they needed to. Not because it helped them survive. But simply because love is a choice that humans can make. Tay knew this was the key. This was what the aliens did not understand. For them, everything was about survival. Everything was about eating or being eaten. They could not imagine a predator choosing to protect something weaker. But humans did this all the time. They kept pets. They built animal shelters. They created laws to protect endangered species. They cried when their dogs died. They threw birthday parties for their cats. This was not the behavior of a mindless predator. This was the behavior of a species that had evolved beyond simple instinct. A species that could choose love over hunger. Kindness over cruelty. Tay stood up and walked to the window. She looked out at the stars. Tomorrow, she would face the council again. Delegate Vorn would try to make her look bad. He would say more things about predators and prey. He would try to prove that humans were dangerous. But Tay had the photo. She had the truth. And she believed that truth was more powerful than fear. The next morning came quickly. Tay woke up early and put on her uniform. She checked her tablet to make sure the photo was ready. Then she walked to the Great Hall. The room was full again. Hundreds of alien delegates sat in their tall chairs. The blue lights floated in the air. Everything looked the same as yesterday, but something felt different. Tay could sense that the mood had changed. The aliens were looking at her with curiosity instead of fear. Maybe they were wondering what she would say today. Delegate Vorn was already in his chair. His yellow eyes found her as soon as she entered. "The human returns," he said. "I hope you have thought about our words from yesterday." Tay nodded. "I have thought about them very much, Delegate Vorn. In fact, I have a question for you." Vorn tilted his head. He seemed surprised. "A question? Very well, ask." Tay walked to the center of the room. She stood straight and tall. Her voice was clear. "Yesterday, you said that predators never raise prey. You said this is a law of nature that has never been broken. Is that correct? Yes, Vorn said. That is correct. And you said that all predator species you have encountered follow this law. They only hunt and consume. They never protect or care for weaker creatures. Yes, this is what we have observed for millions of years. Tay nodded slowly. Then I have to ask you something, Delegate Vorn. In all your millions of years of observation, have you ever considered that you might be wrong? The room went silent. Vorn's yellow eyes narrowed. Wrong? He said. The Torak are never wrong. We have studied life across the galaxy. We have data. We have evidence. We have proof. But you have never studied humans before, Tay said. You have only known about us for 3 years. Perhaps humans are different from the other predators you have met. Vorn made a grinding laugh. Different? In what way could you possibly be different? Your eyes face forward, like all predators. Your teeth are sharp, like all predators. You hunt and kill, like all predators. What makes you think you are special? This was the moment Tay had been waiting for. Her heart was beating fast, but her hands were steady. Let me show you something, she said. She held up her tablet. She pressed a button, and the photo appeared on the large screen above her head. The photo of Wu sleeping on the couch. The photo of Nabi curled up on his chest. The photo of 2 predators resting together in peace. This is my brother, Tay said. His name is Wu, and this is his cat. Her name is Nabi. The room was completely silent. Every alien was staring at the screen. Delegate Vorn stood up from his chair. His forearms were stiff at his sides. His yellow eyes were wide. What? What is this? He asked. Tay smiled. This, Delegate Vorn, is a predator raising another predator. A human caring for a cat. Not because he needs to. Not because it helps him survive. But simply because he loves her. She looked around the room at all the confused faces. Now tell me again that predators never raise prey. Tell me again that predators cannot love. Tell me again that humans are just like every other predator you have met. She pointed at the screen. Explain this. The great hall erupted into chaos. Aliens were shouting, questioning, arguing. Some were pointing at the screen. Others were talking quickly into their communicators. And at the center of it all, Tay stood calmly with a small smile on her face. The lesson was just beginning. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than anything Tay had ever seen. She stood at the center of the room, feeling very small. Around her, hundreds of alien delegates sat in tall chairs that rose up like a mountain. The ceiling was so high that she could not see where it ended. Blue lights floated in the air, giving the room a cold feeling. Tay was 32 years old. She had black hair that she kept tied back in a simple style. She wore the dark blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. On her chest was a small pin shaped like Earth. She held her hands behind her back to hide the fact that they were shaking a little. This was humanity's first time at the Galactic Council. Earth had only discovered alien life 3 years ago. A ship had appeared above Seoul, and everything changed. Now humans were trying to join the galactic community. But first, they had to pass a test. The council needed to decide if humans were civilized enough. Delegate Vorn was leading the discussion today. He was a tall creature with gray skin that looked like stone. He had 4 arms and 2 large yellow eyes that never seemed to blink. His species was called the Torak. They have been part of the council for 10,000 years. They thought very highly of themselves. Vorn looked down at Tay with those yellow eyes. His voice was deep and rough, like rocks grinding together. The human stands before us today, Vorn said. We must decide if her kind deserves a place among civilized species. Tay took a deep breath. She reminded herself why she was here. Back on Earth, her family was watching. Her mother, her father, her younger brother Wu. They believed in her. She could not let them down. "Thank you for this opportunity," Tay said. Her voice was steady. "Humanity is ready to join the galactic community. We have much to offer and much to learn." Vorn made a sound that might have been a laugh. Many species say such words. But words are easy. Let us see if humans truly understand what it means to be civilized. He pressed a button on his chair. A large screen appeared in the air. It showed pictures of Earth, forests, oceans, cities, and then it showed something else. It showed humans hunting, humans eating meat, humans with sharp tools. "Our scientists have studied your world," Vorn said. "The evidence is clear. Humans are predators." The word echoed through the great hall. Predators. Tay noticed that many of the alien delegates shifted in their seats. Some of them looked at her with fear. Others looked at her with disgust. "Is this true?" asked another delegate. This one was small and covered in soft white fur. Her name was Delegate Mira, from a species called the Vel. They looked like rabbits but walked on two legs. "Are humans truly predators?" Tay nodded slowly. "Yes, humans are omnivores. We eat both plants and meat. In our past, we hunted animals to survive." The room erupted in whispers. Tay could hear words being spoken in dozens of languages. A translator device tried to keep up, but there were too many voices. Vorn raised one of his 4 hands. The room became quiet. "This is very troubling," Vorn said. "In all of galactic history, predator species have caused nothing but problems. They are violent. They are aggressive. They cannot control their base instincts." Tay felt anger rising in her chest, but she pushed it down. Getting angry would only prove his point. "With respect, Delegate Vorn," she said, "humans have evolved. We have built civilizations. We have art, music, science. We are not controlled by instinct anymore." Vorn leaned forward in his chair. "That is what all predators say at first. But nature cannot be denied. There is a law in this universe that has never been broken. Do you know what that law is?" Tay shook her head. Vorn spoke slowly, making sure every word was clear. "Predators never raise prey. They consume them. This is the way of nature. This is the truth that governs all life." The other delegates nodded. Even the small, rabbit-like Myra was nodding. It seemed like everyone in the room agreed with this idea. "Every predator species we have encountered follows this law," Vorn continued. "The strong eat the weak. Parents teach their children to hunt, to kill, to consume. There is no room for softness. No room for caring about creatures below them on the food chain." Tay listened carefully. She was starting to understand something. These aliens had never met a predator species like humanity. They had only met predators who acted exactly as Vorn described. Violent, aggressive, caring only about themselves. "This is why predator species have always failed," Vorn said. "They destroy each other. They destroy everything around them. They cannot build lasting civilizations because they cannot see value in anything except food and power." He pointed one long finger at Tay. "Humans will be the same. It is only a matter of time before your true nature shows itself. Before you turn on your allies. Before you see us not as friends, but as food." Tay wanted to argue, but Vorn was not finished. "We have seen your history," he said. "Your wars. Your violence. Humans have killed millions of their own kind. You have driven other species on your planet to extinction. You have destroyed forests and poisoned oceans. Is this not the behavior of a predator?" Tay felt the weight of his words. He was not entirely wrong. Human history was full of darkness. Wars, cruelty, destruction. She could not deny these things, but there was another side to humanity. A side that Vorn did not see. A side that Tay knew very well. You speak of our darkest moments, Tay said quietly, but you do not speak of our brightest ones. Vorn made that grinding laugh again. Bright moments? What bright moments can a predator have? You hunt, you kill, you consume. That is your nature. Nothing more. Tay reached into her pocket. Her fingers touched her personal tablet. On that tablet was a photo. A simple photo that her brother Wu had sent her last week. She had looked at it many times during this long journey to the council. It always made her smile. She thought about showing it now, but she decided to wait. The time was not right yet. First, she needed to understand these aliens better. She needed to know exactly what they believed and why. Tell me more about this law, Tay said. This idea that predators never raise prey. Where does it come from? Vorn seemed pleased by her question. He liked talking about his beliefs. It comes from observation, he said. For millions of years, the Council has studied life across the galaxy. We have found thousands of predator species. Not one of them has ever shown care for prey animals. Not one of them has ever protected a weaker creature without wanting something in return. He spread his forearms wide. This is simply how the universe works. Predators and prey are enemies. They can never be friends. They can never be family. The very idea is ridiculous. Around the room, the other delegates made sounds of agreement. To them, this was obvious. This was simple truth. But Tay knew something they did not. She knew about cats. She knew about dogs. She knew about all the animals that humans had loved and protected for thousands of years. She smiled to herself. These aliens had no idea what was coming. Thank you for explaining, Tay said politely. I have learned much today. But I believe there is something about humans that you do not yet understand. Something that might change everything you think you know. Vorn looked at her with those unblinking yellow eyes. Nothing you say can change the laws of nature, human. Tay's smile grew a little wider. We shall see, Delegate Vorn. We shall see. The session ended for the day. Tay walked out of the great hall with her head held high. Tomorrow she would show them the photo. Tomorrow she would teach the galaxy something new about predators, about humans, about love.